Welcome to my backyard garden. Today is the day I go in and prune the bottom leaves off my tomatoes and go in and get some more suckers off of those plants. So first I'm going to go through and get the bottom leaves pruned off of my tomatoes. And a couple reasons you want to do this is you want to get these leaves up off the ground so that they don't transmit any soil-borne diseases into the plant. So all we do is just go in and clip off the bottom few leaves, and I'm going to go up and clip the leaves up about maybe a foot off the ground. I want to get those leaves off here. The second reason you want to prune the leaves off the bottom of the plants is for air circulation. So when it rains, it gets wet, the soil gets wet, and you don't want it to stay damp and wet because you'll get mold and fungus growing and other things you don't want happening down in the soil. So those are the two reasons why we want to trim these bottom leaves off there. Now the other thing is we have to go in and get some more suckers. Now I trimmed that right there, that was a sucker, and then this piece that I just broke off is also a sucker. And I have a tomato. This is my pear tomato, so this is what they look like when they start. But moving up, I trimmed here a couple weeks ago, and now I have that sucker. I'll just move on up. There's another sucker right here. Now the smaller ones you can just pinch off, but when you have these things, you always want to snip them off, because if you try to break them, you could damage the stalk because they'll thread down there. And up here, this is a really big sucker. Now I let this go because it was close to the top of the plant up here. Is that up there? Yeah, that's up there. So anyway, so I got another one there, and I got this one here. Now this, we can see up here, that's the growth head. I don't want to damage that, but this is a sucker, so I'm going to take that out. Now the last thing I'm going to do is wrap this around my twine. And that's my support. That's how I support my tomatoes for the season. So this will wrap right on up that twine, and it'll be nice and supported all year long. And by doing this, got another sucker down here, right in there. Now, I do the single stalk method for my tomatoes because I only want one stem growing here. There's some tomatoes, some flowers. I only want one, and I only want one because it's easier to work in my tomato plants, in the plants themselves. It's not, they get overgrown if you let the suckers go, and it's just a real mess trying to get in there, see what's going on, and work with the tomatoes and keep them clean. I like to keep a nice, neat garden, and so that's what I do. So let's go over here to this one. Here's a sucker down there. I can just pinch it off, but I'm gonna snip these off. Get this leaf and a sucker. Got a leaf down here. You want to make sure you don't damage the stalk, but I want to get up there. So that'll be nice and dry now. The other thing is, as these plants grow, the lower leaves will start to die off. So you can do hard pruning, so like in another week or two, I'm going to take these off all the way up to this right there where these tomatoes are forming, these flowers. So I'm going to remove these couple leaves in another week or so. And as they continue to grow, these leaves will die off, and you want to clip them off when they're dying off, because if you leave them on, they get smelly and they just look bad. So get the old leaves and get them out of there. So one thing I want to show you is some of these suckers will get pretty big, and before you know it, and they get kind of out of control. So over here, this is a sucker. So you have your leaf right here, your sucker, and this is actually your main stem right here. It goes up. So you want to take the sucker off. If we go up here, you'll see that this has some tomatoes flowers forming already, but the main stem over here also has some flowers, but there's the growth head right there, and this is where your tomato plant grows. So I want to take that off, and here's another little sucker too that I'm just gonna pinch off, and that one right there too. So we'll get rid of those, but I'm gonna cut this off right down here. Just careful not to cut my string. That is a pretty big sucker, and you can have that in like a week or so if you don't come out and take care of your plants every few days. And they, like I said, they get kind of out of control and hard to work with. And I'm gonna just wrap this up, get it supported, watch the flowers, and let it go on from there. Now, to show you another way a sucker will develop is, here's your leaf and here's your sucker right here, but it's not right in close to the branch like this one is, or this one was. But you see we're developing some flowers here, and then this is the growth head for the sucker. So instead of losing these, I'm just going to pinch that right off and stop that sucker from growing, but we're still going to get these tomatoes right here. Well, this bed's done, and it may not be too noticeable, but I've got taken off the lower 8 to 12 inches of leaves. You don't want to take too much of the leaves off at first, because you want to leave enough so the plant will grow, continue to grow, and just work your way up from the bottom, and just be careful about taking too much off, and watch the top of the plant so you don't accidentally clip off the growth head thinking it's a sucker. Hope that was helpful. If you liked the video, please give it a like. You can leave comments down in the bottom below the video if you have any questions, and please subscribe to my channel. I'll be back soon with more stuff. Bye-bye.